it's these small little decisions that you do every single day that could be the difference between being ahead, building generational wealth, or struggling. So it is unpacking day for the 7A Wilshire, building out the house for potentially a rental. And I'll let you talk to you about the value of, or the ramifications of, not spending the money, and what that can mean as far as an ROI. Our Airbnbs stay consistently booked, 90% occupancy. Part of it's the house, part of it's the location, but a lot of it is also as well about what we do for the interior, the way we keep things stocked, which results in 5-star rankings, which results in higher ranking through some of these other websites. Most cases, when you go to Airbnb, when I've been at Airbnb, I get a very stripped down model, a couple pans, some basic white plates, because these could be properties that were $1,200 a night or $300 a night. They're all basically usually the same. Oftentimes they don't have things like odd things like a rice cooker or a food processor, or even a decent grill like a bakery egg and sticks for the marshmallows and a fire. They don't have all these extra things. Every single one of our properties that we have are set up to basically be second homes, or even solid primary homes for us and our family. And I approach it in this particular way to ensure that anybody that's visiting our property will literally have any single thing that they can think of, and probably beyond that. And in some cases, I have things at the property that I don't necessarily even advertise as a surprise to make them even more excited when they get there. Like, oh, I didn't even realize this place has a built-in sauna. Our cabin, for example, we put in a sauna months ago. And when people come, they're like, oh man, I didn't even realize you had this. How awesome. So we put in beautiful hot tubs, beautiful seating areas, big green egg, whole grilling stations, whole indoor and outdoor eating stations, not cheap furniture, higher end stuff, beautiful beds, great comfortable beds, great linens, lots of all the extras, higher end, basically anything you touch, silverware, plates, glasses, unique stuff, customized stuff to the house, all kinds of things you could find on Etsy. And we do that to ensure that the property stands out amongst all other properties in its class. So for a property that we might be renting, say for $200 a night, we might do a different level of this versus a place that we're renting for $600 a night. So it's all comparative. But the point is when I'm speaking to people in our investment business, they often will say, well, I heard, you can just basically go down to IKEA, get a credit card, spend 10 grand doing furniture. It can just be cheap stuff. It's just a rental. Nobody really cares. And, in some cases, if you're renting a little 1-bedroom apartment in a crappy area, whatever, maybe that doesn't matter. If you're doing budget rentals at $85-$100 a night, maybe that doesn't matter. However, if you want to stand out, you're only going to do so by reviews and also by the photography. It's the two ways you sell is, what does the property have? What's the photography? What does it look like inside? And what are the reviews? And when people say this house is beautiful, it has great furniture, very comfortable beds, it has all the things that you can ask for, and they see those moments of beautiful soaking tub to take a bath in, which we have Christmas lights and trees and stuff to make that feeling with candles lit, whatever. If you have fire pits out there with great outdoor spaces, if you have all that, you're going to stay booked 100% of the time. A report just came out recently that said Airbnbs are going down. The rental rate was down 60%. Guys, we're booked. We're maxed out. We've had zero decrease in the amount that we booked for, or the frequency that we booked for. Again, some of that's the properties we have, some of that's the location. But I also say that is if there are, let's say 10 properties on line and there's 10 people looking for properties, everyone gets booked, it makes no difference. However, if there's 10 properties online and now there's only 5 people are looking for properties, you better be the top 1, 2, or 3 properties in that area, or you ain't getting booked. Because simply enough, there's just less demand. So all the people that went cheap, that didn't put the investments in there, that didn't do any of that, they're probably struggling right now, not paying their mortgages or not having enough to pay their mortgages, and it covering the nut on the property. where we are sitting pretty still profitable just as the day that we are. The difference is, instead of spending what we could have done, maybe $15,000 on a property by going to IKEA, cheaping it down, having very basic stuff, not having all the accessories, not having any customized stuff, we spent about $52,000 on the property. Now, what does that mean? That can sound very, very crazy, because you're like, yeah, you spend all this money and maybe you book it out more, but you have so much more money into it. That's true, but the difference, one, is if you don't book it, it could be catastrophic because you don't have enough money to cover the mortgage. And if you're able to personally do that, that could be a catastrophic situation financially for that. But second, what I find is by staying booked to staying at 90%, we are sitting at cash on cash returns of about 100% a year. So, meaning that yes, we put down a sizable amount for the property. Yes, we put another $50,000 into it. But if I can if I can net, $100,000 a year, what do I care? It's the cash and cash return is still tremendous. The point is not what you put into it. The point is what the cash and cash return is. So you could go cheap and you could get a little less bookings, and maybe there's probably some sort of sweet spot in there, but I don't like to take the chance. I like to have the best property in the best location with the best photography, with the highest reviews, and let that be my issue, and maybe even make slightly less, but that is a super stable growth model versus having, kind of a crappy property, okay reviews, not great, kind of staying booked, making decent cash, but man, always hanging on the edge, not really sure. Properties book a year in advance. I have properties that are booked for all into next year. I just booked a property. It was a long-term rental because someone liked the short-term rental so long. And for $5, they're paying a premium for it. Properties stay booked all the time. It's fantastic. Put your money in your investment. Don't cheap out. Don't splurge on crazy stuff. We don't buy $100 champagne glasses. But don't be cheap with cheap furniture, cheap finishes, cheap whatever. It'll show in your reviews, it'll show in your pictures, it's going to drop your bookings and obviously drop your ROI, the cash on cash return, and it's going to make your house a little less successful. So put the money in the properties. I guarantee you, you will not regret it. This principle is not foreign to just short-term rentals. This would also apply to when flipping a property. We go usually a little bit higher end. We put granite in the properties that don't necessarily need granite. We put better cabinets in places that don't necessarily need it because we want to be the best property on the block to make sure that thing sells quick. We get a bidding war, which pushes up the price. It makes it more desirable. It makes it not sit. So again, just a small thing. Nothing, not amazing, but it's these small little decisions that you do every single day that could be the difference between being ahead, building generational wealth, or struggling